Hello, folks. This is Loydeen from Loydeen and Heidi of the U-Haulers. I'm nervous. So, I am alone in making this, which this is a first. And it feels lonely. I don't like it. So, I just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit before Heidi and I join you again. I know that we officially came back and we had some big interviews lined up, which we still have, and then we had the one with Xander, and we have some more coming. And then we took a really long pause that was not planned. It was for a few reasons. There were some big family things that we needed to take care of that had to take priority, and so we did that, and that was really necessary and really important. And then at the end of that, my ex came back into the picture. And when I say my ex, I mean the ex. So, as some people have, common story where, kind of the one that got away or the one that you thought you were going to marry. And this was that ex for me. It was someone I was madly in love with. I had never felt that way up until that point about anyone in my life, and it kind of one of those moments where you're like, you think you've been in love, or actually I wouldn't even say I thought I was in love. I was in love with other people before her, men and women, but nothing compared when it came to that. So it was that moment where people always say, when you know, and before that you're like, what the hell does that mean? I don't know. How do I know that I know that I know? And why do people keep saying that? Or, it was, I thought I'd found that. We're like, oh, now I know that if you know, you know. And I, kind of wanted, that was it for me. I thought that this was my person. I thought it was forever. And I was literally just like blown out of the water. Like, that something could feel like that, and kind of that movie feeling that you watch and always want. And it didn't go as planned. I got very scared because it moved very quickly, which now I know is a red flag, but at the time it was just everything you dreamt it to be. Everything said was how it was supposed to be, what you want to hear. And kind of just thought we were both falling in love really fast. And I remember being really scared that, that concept of when it goes too fast, it can fizzle out just as fast, right? And hopefully you can understand me. I have my aligners in, trying to straighten those teeth on my last set, so I kept them in on this one, but I'll have to listen back. Hopefully you're not like, why is she slurring? Anyways, so it was one of those moments where that's what happened. So it went really quickly and then fizzled out just as fast, and I never understood what I had done wrong, and we had one kind of squabble, and it blew up into a breakup, and I wrote 30 little love notes of what I loved about her and sent those individually in the mail in these little envelopes, and I sent flowers. I did all these things and really kind of just tried to save it, and there was just no saving it, and I was very confused for a long time. This went for a 2-year period, and during that 2-year period she would come back if all of a sudden I was online with a girlfriend. I would finally hear from her, or if she didn't feel like I was I'm always friends with my exes and I wasn't being friends with her, and that hurt her, and so she would want to engage or be friends, or say, I'm not thinking about any other women but you, and I don't think we should date right now, but I'm not wanting to give up on this. And kind of I always there was always the possibility there. It was always a maybe or a win or just a not now, and so I was kind of always dangling, hopeful, and chasing. And long story short, we did get back, and it didn't work out. We did very well in conflict together for the most part. When we were in person, we did not do well together long distance, but in person we do really well in conflict, and leaning on each other and being there for each other, and her letting me help her, and so we could see that went well. And of course in the good times was great. We were together as passion and amazing and all the things you would want, and attraction, but our communication was our biggest struggle most of the time, as well as she was out and wanting to marry a woman is what I believed and was told, and I believe she believed that as well, but she was out in a bubble. So she'd come out to her mom, but then didn't get the best response, and so kind of like put herself back in the closet. And I think her mom just wanted to like pretend she didn't hear it and pretend everyone around her is just a friend, and she wasn't serious with someone. There was no point in rubbing her face in it, and so it was kind of a one conversation and done kind of thing at that time. And she was out because she lived in cities where it was okay to be out, but not on social media, and just kind of in safe spots. And that kind of started to be the first reason that I got pushed away, is that I was fully open and out and embracing it, and she knew if our love journey was going the way it was going, she would have to not hide us anymore, and because I had never thought we were ever going to hide, and so that scared her. And she had, I think, been through that before in her life and pushed it away and broke it off for those same reasons when it gets to the point of serious. And so we talked about how that had been something she went through before, and how I really thought she was going to regret this with me, but she was really stubborn about it, and that was that. So we broke up, and then she really wanted me to give her another chance and said, I'm going to do it right this time, and everything was going really well, and she went through a really hard thing in her life. And when I was around her, it went really well of letting me be there for her, but when we were apart distance-wise, she pushed me away and kind of cut me out, wouldn't let me in, and I just couldn't handle that. I like being there for the person that I love, and so I finally was like, I'm miserable. And she went from saying, please just give it time, to, you're right, I cannot be who you need me to be. I don't know when I'll be able to be that. You deserve someone better. I am not ready for this. We have to let this go. And we broke up again, and it was very, very heart-wrenching, the final breakup. And I think for her family's sake, she was going to try to go back to men. And so it was just very heart-wrenching for me, but it was the first time that it seemed final. It wasn't kind of left lingering, or me kind of on the hook. It was that this is done and you have to move on, and as much as this hurts, I'm never coming back to this kind of end. So this was right before Heidi and I had reconnected at that point of our story, if you've heard our story, but only to the point of I had asked her a lot of questions of what it's like to be married to a woman. I had just been friends with her and reconnected and met the kids and stayed here, and I had talked to her all about my ex that I was still in love with, which is this ex. So now we've gotten back together and broken up, and that's when Heidi reached out, and I came to see her, and we had our one fun night. And then, as you know, I got locked down here in COVID the next time I came to stay. So there was, I think, casually came to stay a couple more times, and then I got locked down, as you know. And when Heidi and I started realizing, oh, this isn't just casual and fun, there was a conversation, because we were brand new, we weren't exclusive at the time, and I was still very raw, fresh off of my ex. And so there was a conversation of, this was really kind of supposed to be the final end, and that is what's been communicated to me, but if I'm wrong and she comes back, I'm going to need to go explore that and get closure, or see, like, if she ever actually is the one to take responsibility and really work on herself and change and want to revisit, where I really feel it's something real, then I'm going to need you. Because as I said at the time, Heidi and I weren't exclusive. And so Heidi agreed, understood, and now fast forward to now. So that was 4 years ago. And when I was with my ex, and then, here we are 4 years later, and she has been off social media that entire time, which I knew. She got off when we were dating the last time and then did not get back on. So she had no idea about Heidi and I and the kids and lockdown and COVID. And so we'd only text one time, and it was during COVID. And I think she just wasn't ready for anything. So she didn't ask me any questions about myself. She assumed I was in New York. I did tell her I was in California, but she didn't ask anything. And it was a very short conversation of me finding out a coworker of hers had died and saying how sorry I was. And her not really wanting to talk about herself, but just thanking me and not wanting to really ask questions about me. So she had no idea. And she called to shoot her shot because she, from what it seems, been through a lot of therapy and really worked on herself a lot and come to a lot of conclusions about herself and her happiness and where she is in life and what she wants, and kind of some things that were put upon her that she now is like, I'm not buying, in terms of, for instance, I'm fully gay and fully a Christian and know Jesus loves me, but when you come from a family and have family in the Bible Belt that are preachers and raise you a certain way, just like I was raised, it can be a very difficult process and journey because of your faith and your relationship with Jesus and God and your family and what people think of you. And she was very caught up in needing to look perfect and needing to make everybody else happy. And so she's come to terms with a lot of that. So she called saying that she, and Heidi had my phone at the time, and I was on Heidi's computer doing something. Heidi was in the other room. Heidi comes in with big eyes and my phone in her hand, and she shows me the picture and says she's calling.